Sexual abuse is the most prevalent problem facing children today, with 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys being sexually abused by the time they are 18 years old. Joining us today on Newsmakers is Miranda Murdock, the creator and director of the annual Breaking the Silence 5K and 10K run. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So this is an amazing thing that you've created here. Tell us what the Breaking the Silence run is.
Yeah, it is, like you mentioned, it's a nonprofit 5K, 10K walk-run event that I created just kind of out of my own passion to change the statistics of sexual abuse. There's all parts of the statistic that needs to be changed. Like you mentioned, the 1 in 4 girls and the 1 in 6 boys that are sexually abused, and then the fact that 62% are silenced by it. And then you have all of the statistics of like the ailments that survivors have a higher chance of experiencing in their lifetime. So none of that has to be that way.
Right.
So I really feel like this event gives a voice to all of it. Through awareness and education, helps with prevention. And there's a pre-race speaker at the beginning. And then it's followed by a survivor line of men and women both that stand up together and are kind of their own voice in their story. And then the race begins. And hopefully also courage is contagious. So I feel like people can see other survivors are standing up and coming together beyond the fear and beyond their own shame. Hopefully provides courage for others to do the same too. So.
And this benefits the Children's Center, right?
Yes, it has. We're going to do a different charity every year.
Oh, okay.
Just to kind of, this next year it's going to be Rafa House. But yes, in the past we've given proceeds to Children's Center as well. So we like to team up with people within the community. So.
Well, when is it held every year?
We try to make it the last Saturday of every April.
Okay.
I don't like to conflict with other races, so we have moved it a few times, pushed it back to the first Saturday of May, but we try to keep it the last Saturday of April. So.
And how many years have you been doing it?
Last year was the 6th year, so this will be the 7th year in 2022.
Wow.
Will be the 7th year, yeah.
And how much planning goes into this? I mean, it's a pretty big event.
Yeah, so I'm always like all year long I'm just trying to research and learn ways to grow the reach and better the experience. I would say probably about 5 months before the event is when I really start narrowing down like all the details and working with the city and sponsors and all that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, are there vendors? And
we have had a food truck in the past, and just kind of I'm trying to find other ideas of how to create a better experience in the morning.
Make it a big event.
Like a big event.
Rather than just, well, I say just run. That's a big thing.
Right.
And so how do you find the words? You're a survivor.
Yes.
How do you find the words to talk about your own personal experience?
I think it really came from when I started the healing process. It took years before I went to counseling for it all. So once I started to go back to the 5-year-old me and meet myself in that pain and then walk myself through it, and also seeing that I wasn't alone, I think was a huge step in like finding some courage, and it also like fed my passion for wanting to use my voice. So I think, and this is what I wanted to do with the run too, when I first spoke up after going through counseling was actually a news story that I did, and the fear and the shame really came to me like full force, like big time.
Wow.
And I pushed through it, and I went ahead and I didn't listen to that shame and I didn't listen to that fear, and I went ahead and did the news story. And it was the first time that I realized that the shame no longer had power over me. And so doing little steps like that, the more you do those kinds of things, the more you start to want to use your voice and to overcome that shame and to fight that fear. So, and that's what I want others to see for themselves as well.
And you said, power in numbers. Like,
yes, yeah.
Kids are so afraid, first of all, like they're worried about not being believed.
Yes.
And so they don't tell.
Right.
And then there's also, how hard it is to reach out for help.
Right.
They don't know who
find
else.
A safe person. And I think usually it's an adult in the situation, and these are children, so you don't want to get an adult in trouble. Usually it's someone that they love, they care about, they know, they don't want to upset the family, or yeah, the child's kind of given the responsibility. In a lot of cases it's family members, and I think the child's usually given the responsibility to carry this abuse, to keep the family together, and to protect other people. And
there's also that fear of threats, because usually there's a threat involved. If you tell, I'll do this to your parents, or I'll do this.
That's what happened to me,
Yeah. And so how do they, I guess, what's a good way to overcome that?
Gosh, at the time, you're so young and not understanding so much of it that you're just driven by a lot of fear at the time. I would say just having a safe person to go to. That, and being taught that these things are wrong. I think a lot of kids, this happens at such a young age that they don't know. Some of them think that this is what love is, or this is just normal. And so I think the more we teach about this in schools, the more that they see that this isn't love, the secrets aren't safe. That kind of stuff is helpful too.
And how do you overcome your trauma? Or, I mean, is it an ongoing process?
Yes, it's definitely an ongoing process, a lifelong one, I'm sure. But let's see, I would say, I don't know, I think using it for good, the more experience you have with like pushing through the struggle within it all and the healing of it all, I think once you start to be able to use it for good, and then it kind of empowers you to see what else you can overcome. So,
and breaking through that shame, like you said.
And then helping other people do the same, I think, is a big part of each person's journey too. So, which is another reason why I think it's important with the survivor line. Survivors can stand up and be that example for other people as well. So they can use their pain as encouragement for others. And
so this race was created out of your, I guess, ongoing process of overcoming your trauma.
Yeah, there was just, I can't even explain it, just a huge relief in realizing that I wasn't alone in something that I had felt alone in for so long. And I wanted other people to see that somehow, some way. And I wanted like a community. I had envisioned a community coming together and being there and being a part of it. And I don't know, just people to see that they're not alone.
Yeah, and that has happened. There's a lot of...
Yes, the last, well, gosh, every race, when I sit back and I look at the video of the survivor line, it does make me a little tearful just to see the unity and the strength that comes from something that's so painful.
Sure.
And there was a really touching moment. I remember one year we had a few men up in the survivor line, which unfortunately men don't come up as much, and just, I feel like the stigmatism, men are supposed to be stronger and all that stuff. But I had a few men on the survivor line, and both men I had noticed, and I never noticed this with anybody or any time before, but when they stood up with their signs on the survivor line, both of them took off their sunglasses, and just stood up there. And it was so touching and like,
powerful.
I don't know, it was, it was like they wanted to be seen, and they wanted to let themselves out of their story. Like it was just, it was really emotional, and
that's incredible.
Yeah, and I hope everybody gets to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That can be.
Well, in self-esteem and self-worth, it's a giant part of moving on and getting through the process.
Yes, it is.
And it affects so much of everything that we do.
Right. I think especially with sexual abuse, I think the child internalizes what's happened to them as who they are. And so with self-esteem, that's definitely one that I still struggle with. But I think we just have to kind of change that internal dialogue within ourselves so that we are not what happened to us.
Exactly.
So that's a process.
Well, and what advice would you give for somebody struggling with self-esteem issues? Like, I know there's not a hard, fast cure or rule, but, to pass on the message of power and internal belief that you are worthy.
Yeah. I feel like, one, to just be patient with the journey. It's definitely a journey, and to not compare your stage of healing with where other people are at in their stage of healing. And a lot of people aren't ready for the survivor line even, and if that's not you, that's completely part of your journey and where you're at. I just feel like it's a process of relearning your inner dialogue. And I think the only lie I feel like about their abuse, is who it tells them that they are about themselves.
Exactly.
So I think once they can start to understand that and start to replace those lies with their truths, then they can start getting their self back.
Yeah, and trauma is one of those things that, you know, it spreads out like a spider web, if you will, through your entire life.
Yeah, relationships and
everything.
Yeah.
And like you said, the effects of it.
Right, it's the ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I really want to get this out into community, because it is huge, and people think like, I don't know anybody that this has happened to, but they do. I mean, if you look at the statistic, you do, and those people are going to grow up and get married and be parents, and it's going to be a ripple effect of trauma if we don't start preventing and healing and talking about it.
Right, and that's the thing too. It's like, you know, you're not alone, but the shame and the self-doubt, it just kind of bleeds out into everything. So it's hard. And before, it was always stuff it down. Right.
Because then it didn't happen.
It didn't happen, right.
Yeah.
We don't want to cast shame on our family members or our family. And that's not a thing,
right.
You know. I mean, it's self-internalized.
And the thing, because I tried that for many years, I think a lot of people do. It doesn't, the thing is, it won't go away. Right. It's always going to be, and I write about it in my book, like there's always going to be that little child, whether you were 5, 6, 10, 16, that's always going to be speaking to you. That pain's going to be there until you go back to it and meet that child that you were, and then heal to where you are now. And until you do that, that pain will be there.
Yeah. Well, and you started, and you're the owner of Warrior Racing.
Yes.
Tell us what Warrior Racing is.
So I also have it's a glow race series over the summertime. It's called Nighttime Summer Series, and I put those on through Warrior Racing. And I came up with that name, just kind of goes along with my passion, is for people to realize that there really are warriors within them, and that they can overcome hard things. I think that's one of my biggest passions, and I love doing it within a community. Yeah. To have a bunch of people come together and overcome races or whatever, whatever that is. Well, and together. It's
a race management. You're a race management director. What is that? What does that entail?
I put on these race events. So the Nighttime Summer Series are more of a fun nighttime along trails, glow racing. And it's a walk, run, 5K, 10K thing too. So those are fun, empowering. It's hard, it's hot, it's in the summertime, so that brings its own challenge within itself. But yeah, so I put those on through Warrior Racing, and then I also do the Breaking the Silence run. That's in great. April. So yeah, and just organize events.
There you go. Well, I mean, that's awesome. Somebody has
healthy, healthy
good
events.
Outlet. And when did you start running?
I didn't start until after the first year of Breaking the Silence run. I want to say it was 2016 actually. Yeah. Wow. So I wasn't a runner before that. It was after I started the Breaking the Silence run.
And people say, or I've heard people who love running, like once you start it, like you either hate it or you love it.
You hate it at first.
Yeah.
That was me. I would walk mostly, run a little. I'd give myself a distance and I'd run that much, and then I'd walk again. But it's just like the healing process. Sure. I think there's a big correlation between the mindset of a runner and any kind of thing that you have to heal from. You just see how far you can go and push yourself to that. And then once you realize what you overcame, you want to see what else you can overcome. And I think there's that in everyone, if we can just, and it's even for walkers. I mean, it's not even just for runners or anything hard. If we can just push ourselves to that next level and then see that we did it, then what else can I do? Right. What else am I capable of, kind of thing.
Well, and you were recently featured in J Magazine as one of the women of distinction in our area. how did that make you feel?
What
did that mean to you?
I was completely surprised. That was completely unexpected. But there are so many amazing women in our community that I was just really excited to be seen as part of them, really.
Yeah. So
it was an honor.
Well, I think you change the landscape and you make a difference. So I think it's amazing.
Well, thank you. I just want everybody to, I just really have a huge passion for survivors to see that
they're not victims.
More, yes,
right.
Yes.
It's to change that mentality.
Right.
Well, and you are writing a book?
Yes. It's called The Roots of an Oak. It's in the very last stages with my editor. I'm hoping, I don't know if it's going to be ready by the time my race happens in April of 2022, but once it is, I'm going to put it on my social media and have it at the Breaking the Silence race.
And what's the book about?
It's pretty much about, my passion is for us to see each other in our stories and to see that what we're capable of overcoming.
Oh.
It's along the lines of the roots of an oak. So the strongest part of us is usually grown in the underground places that people can't see. Mm-hmm. And that what makes us become what people see on the outside.
That's a great analogy.
It was God-given, honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it seems like it's your passion, though. I mean, to speak out and to help others.
Yeah, just see what they're capable of.
Yeah. And is that what running is for you? It's a therapy of sorts?
It is, yeah. It's definitely my therapy. I've learned through this whole, which you start to appreciate the journey of healing when you start to see what good comes out of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm learning that by overcoming some things, it makes me want to see what else I can overcome. And running kind of keeps me uncomfortable and keeps me overcoming things. And that way I don't slide back into my comfort zone, which is really easy for me to go back to.
And have you done any marathons, or are you planning to do marathons?
We've done halves. We just did a Ragnar, which is like a 207-mile relay race with 12 of us.
Oh, wow.
Before that, we've done, me and my husband is what I mean by we. We've done Outback Ozark races, which is another 206-mile relay race. I like team racing, which is eventually what I want to start doing with Warrior Racing, is to maybe create some sort of a team race locally.
Wow.
Because it's just fun. We have a group of 12 runners and we overcome these races together. And
so how many miles does that translate?
It's different for everyone. You get different legs and you run all night. So it took us 36 hours.
Oh my.
But like, it's anywhere from 15 to 22 miles per person, but it's broken up with 3 legs per person.
Okay.
So you're all tag teaming all night.
That's still a long ways to run.
It is, but it's fun. And the hardest part is the lack of sleep. But that, but that's the
joy of it too. Yeah.
When you're done.
You
Not at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, go eat pancakes and waffles.
Biscuits and gravy.
Yeah. Everything that you starve from when you're running. And have you thought about doing like the New York City or Boston marathons?
I haven't. No, I haven't done. The furthest I've ran at one time is the half marathon. So I haven't.
Was that 13 miles or so?
Yes.
Wow.
13.2. Yeah.
What's your best time?
Oh gosh, I haven't done it in a few years. I can't even remember. I'm usually at like a 9-10 pace. I can't remember what my best time was. It's been a few years on that one.
Wow.
We keep doing these relay races lately.
Well, those sound like so much more fun than just running all by yourself. Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like racing in our community is just growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of racing. Like, what do you see, or do you have a goal for the future of racing in this area?
No, well, I do want to do team racing. I want to bring that local. I think that's so much fun, and it brings people together. But I just enjoy being part of, because I'm also, I work with the other race directors in this community as well, and I love kind of bouncing ideas off of each other and like working together to create these events within our community of Joplin. So, just getting people together to do healthy stuff.
That sounds like, I mean, that's an awesome thing to do.
Yeah.
So I guess, do you help with like the trails or development of the running and walk tracks, or is your group involved in any of that?
We don't. I'm a member with the Joplin Trails Coalition,
Okay.
but yeah, I don't work with them on the upkeeping of the trails or anything.
Well, how do you figure out or find a route when you're going to set up a race? What does that entail?
I just researching, I guess. I keep getting different ideas for different routes. I always run the route before I have my runners run it, just to see what they're experiencing, and I never have them run anything that I don't run.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I just research.
Is there
I'm trying to find other ideas all the time just to change it up?
Oh, okay. Because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't run.
Yeah.
I've always, ever since I can think about middle school, I've hated running.
Yeah, I used to too. For sure.
And so it's like anything running, I'm just like, I am blank.
Yeah.
So I don't know trails, routes. If there's any set. I know a lot of people do tracking. You know, they track their runs and they'll post it on social media.
Yeah, at least I try to compete with myself on, my speed and stuff. But usually, so we have trails within, in Joplin that we try to stick to. I try to keep them off the streets, the main roads, as much as possible. It's kind of hard to do. But with the Breaking the Silence run, since we have that pre-race speaker and the survivor line, we kind of have to keep it. It's kind of locks us into, like, we have it at Landreth Park.
Oh, okay.
Last year and this year, or next year, I should say. But we need that venue, like the stage and that kind of thing. So that kind of locks that route in where it's at.
I gotcha.
So,
well, how do you advise people if they want to get started running but have never ran before? What do you advise them to do?
Sign up for something. Definitely, because then that's your commitment and you have to do it. And that's actually how I became a runner, is I didn't realize what I was getting into. And I signed my husband and I up for that first Ozark run relay race.
Oh, okay.
And once I realized what it was, I realized, we're part of a team now, and we have to actually train, and
people rely on me.
Yeah, I can't not do this. So that's actually what pushed us into being a runner. But yeah, I think if you just sign yourself up for a race and just try, even if you have to walk most of it, and just try it. They're actually really fun once you get to that finish line.
Yeah.
No matter your pace, it's still hard for everyone.
Right.
And once you make it to that finish line and you get your medal, and it's a good feeling. And you do it with friends or family.
Yeah, you have a team.
Yeah.
Well, and I used to see a lot on social media of couch to 5K or couch to 10K. I mean, is that a thing? Can people?
Yeah. Training plans. I've had a training plan for each of our runs that we sign up for. There's always that way you have, especially if you don't really know what you're getting into. It's your guide to what you need to be working up to every day and every week.
Okay.
So it tells you what to run each day. You get a strength day in there, and just kind of guides you into the training process. So those are very helpful.
Yeah, and it sounds like you use it as a way to just therapy for yourself, and I mean, I guess anybody could do that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I like boxing.
Yeah, whatever the thing is, I like to zone out and to get into my own space of just toughing it out.
Right. Well, and do you talk to yourself and tell yourself, I can do this, I am worthy, I am healthy, I am?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts during my runs that usually are talking that strength into my head. So my body is like, you're tired, I can't do this anymore, let's just cut it short this time, or I'm going to start walking. I always have that going in my head, no, you can do this, just keep going. And then I do, and then I realize I can, and then I'm like, well, what else? How much further can I go? Or faster? Yeah. So
it's just so smart.
It starts with the little places, though, because I really was a walker before. I'm not even that fast of a runner, but I was completely just walking all the time, and so it just starts from just signing up for something.
That's so great.
Going from there.
Well, so remind us how people can get involved with Breaking the Silence. They can go to your website, or is it Facebook?
What is Facebook. It? Facebook. Yes, Breaking the Silence 5K, 10K Joplin. And that's on Facebook, and there's Instagram. And then Local Races is the platform that I use for people to register for the races, but that's also through my page. And then I also have Warrior Racing Joplin Facebook and Instagram page as
great.
well. So.
And is it a large cost, or is it just a donation? How does that work?
It depends on the 5K or the 10K. If you sign up early, it tiers. The closer to the race, it gets like $5 more increments. But I think it starts off at like 30 and 40, if I remember right. I should. I've taken a few months off. $30, $40 for 5K, 10K, and then it goes up from there.
And all the money goes to charity.
Yes.
That's
proceeds
portions
of it. Yeah.
Well, that's so great. Thank you so much for joining us and talking about breaking the silence. I want to thank Miranda Murdock for letting us share her story. You can find the information about the race by going to their Facebook page. It's facebook.com Breaking the Silence 5K 10K Joplin. This is Newsmakers on KGCS TV from the Ruth Copeland Studios here at Missouri Southern State University, and I'm Bobby Potroff. We'll see you again soon.
So, did anything exciting happen at school today?
No.
Don't let this be the only conversation you have with your child. Learn how to have deeper, connected conversations with your teen. Visit health.mo.gov/connect.
Not playing like usual. Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Don't let this be the only conversation you have with the young people in your life. Learn how to have deeper, more connected conversations. Visit health.mo.gov/connect.